So can somebody tell me what is the definition of multiplexing? What is multiplexing?
Multiplexing is a technique in which several signals are combined into a composite signal.
Very good. What are the various types of multiplexing?
Frequency division
Frequency,
multiplexing and time
Frequency
division
division
time series.
multiplexing, time division multiplexing.
Okay, so they are categorized as analog and digital, right? Multiplexing is done on the analog signals and multiplexing done on the digital signals. So these are the two categories of multiplexing. And in analog, we have seen frequency division multiplexing. That's what is given in your syllabus. And then in digital signaling, then we have seen time division multiplexing, wherein again in time division multiplexing, we have seen two types. The first one is synchronized time division multiplexing. The other one is asynchronous, which is also called as statistical time division multiplexing. So I thought, let me also give you this wavelength division multiplexing. So wavelength division multiplexing is designed to use the high rate capabilities of the fiber optics cable. So this is done when the transmission is the fiber optics cable or the optical fiber, and using fiber optics for one single line wastes the available bandwidth. Why? Because among all the transmission medium, fiber optics rate of transfer is higher when you compare the data rate of metallic transmission cables, like for example copper wires and all that. Compared to that, the transmission rate, the data transmission rate through the fiber optics is higher. If there is fiber optics, one single line will waste the bandwidth. So you need to do multiplexing to use the maximum utilization of the line. So here, because it's fiber optics, wavelength division multiplexing is used. So what is multiplexing? We know that, right? Just now we have seen the definition. So it allows us to combine several lines into one line, and it is transmitted over the transmission line, and then at the receiver end, this particular signal, composite signal, is then converted into again back to the original signal, and then it is given to the destination. So here multiplexing and demultiplexing involves optical signals transmitted through the fiber optics channels. So the applications are, they are used in SONET networks, and the advantages of wavelength division multiplexing is it allows transmission of data in two directions simultaneously. So bidirectional transmission of data happens, and then it's low cost, and then greater transmission capacity is there because it's fiber optics, and longer distance communication with low signal loss. So all these are the advantages of the wavelength division multiplexing. So let us take a look at the diagram of the wavelength division multiplexing. So you can see here that these are all the devices that are producing some signals. So these signals, say for example, we are saying it is lambda 1, lambda 2 and lambda 3. The same way, like we have seen the frequency division multiplexing, where each and every transmitting device produces a frequency. So here we are taking it as a wavelength. So lambda 1 and lambda 2, lambda 3, all these are the wavelengths of these three transmission devices. And then they are sent to a mux over here. So what is the purpose of the mux? The mux will actually combine these streams of wavelengths into a single wavelength. Okay, so it will convert it into that, and it will be transmitted through the fiber optics communication medium. And at the receiving end, there will be a demux, which will actually again take okay, so take the signals from the composite signals. It takes the signals, separate the signals, and it will send it to the receiver. So the now the receiver will get lambda 1 and all this. Okay, so this is a diagram which shows that. So the technology is very complex. Okay, so if you want to implement it, it is very complex, but the basic idea is very simple. So what is the basic idea? So we are combining multiple light sources into one single light at the multiplexer, at the mux over here, and we are doing the reverse at the demultiplexer. So at the demultiplexer, the single light is taken and then it is dispersed into multiple light sources. Okay, so that is happening. and the combining and splitting of this particular lights. So all the wavelengths that are coming, you are combining at the mux over here. And then what you're doing, you're actually splitting the light at the demux. Now what you need to have to do this, okay, so we need to have a prism. So in the mux technology, you will be using a prism. So what is a prism? We have seen a prism in our physics. Okay, so what is a prism, Andy? Can somebody tell me? Prism bends a beam of light based on the angle of incidence and the frequency. So that is a prism. Prism is used in the mux and demux over here to establish this kind of communication. WDM is an analog multiplexing technique to combine optical signals. Okay, so this is wavelength division multiplexing, which is a kind of analog multiplexing. Okay, so there are some kinds of wavelength division multiplexing. So these are the two types. The first one is DWDM, which is also called as dense wavelength division multiplexing. And the second one is coarse wavelength division multiplexing. The concept is same, but different amplifiers are used in both the technologies. So the resources that we use are different, so that the communication can happen on the long distance by using the dense wavelength division multiplexing, and for short distance communication we will be using the technology of CWDM. Okay, so it is also called as CWDM, which is coarse wavelength division multiplexing. DWDM stands for dense wavelength division multiplexing. So what is it? It is also simply referred to as DWDM. It is a technology in which a large number of optical signals, okay, so like laser light of different wavelengths or colors, are combined into one signal and is transmitted over the communication channel to a long distances. Okay, right. And coming to CWDM, so in which multiple optical signals like the laser light of different wavelengths or colors are combined into one signal and is transmitted over the communication channel for the short distance. It is also called as coarse wavelength division multiplexing, is also simply referred to as CWD. So this is the wavelength division multiplexing. Okay, so except it is similar, the WDM is conceptually the same as FDM, except that the multiplexing and demultiplexing involves the optical signals transmitted through the fiber optics channel. Okay, so that is the only difference. Conceptually, frequency division multiplexing and WDM both are same, except for the fact that here we are using light signals, okay, and optical signals transmitted through fiber optics channels. That's the only difference, right? So that comes to the end of multiplexing. We'll look into some other points from the first unit, like which is data performance. So the performance of the network depends on many things. Okay, so the overall measurement of the network performance is very important. What is meant by performance of the network? So let us try to understand that. The performance of the network means that how good it is. Okay, what is the quality of service? Okay, so the quality of service and the overall measurement of the network performance, all this is very important to have a good communication. So let us look into the performance of the network. So what it is depending on. The first factor that is used to measure the performance of the network is the bandwidth. Okay, and the second one is the throughput. Okay, so let us mark this. Okay, so the second one is throughput, and then you have the third one, which is latency. Okay, so this is the third one. Third one is the latency, and then you have okay, so then you have this particular bandwidth delay product. Okay, this is your fourth one. Okay, and finally you have the fifth measure, which is the jitter. So let us look into all this in detail now. Okay, fine. So the first one is the bandwidth. So yesterday I was asking in the Viva question, like what is the bandwidth? So many of you have answered it right. So the bandwidth is there are two again measures over here in the bandwidth. So the first is the bandwidth in hertz, and the second one is bandwidth in bits per second. So these two are the measures that we'll be using to measure the bandwidth, one in hertz and the other one in bits per second. So what is bandwidth in hertz? It is the range of frequencies contained in the composite signal, and the range of frequencies a channel can pass. So I'm giving you two definitions over here. So this is the definition 1 and this is the definition 2. So what is a bandwidth? What is a bandwidth?
Range of frequencies contained in a composite signal.
What is the other definition?
The range of frequencies a channel can pass.
Okay, so that is the bandwidth. So which is measured in hertz. Now coming to the other definition of bandwidth, like wherein bandwidth in bits per second. So what's the definition? The number of bits per second that a channel, a link or a network can transmit. Okay, so that is called as bandwidth in bits per second. Right. So what is bandwidth in bits per second?
The number of bits per second that a channel, a link, a network can transmit.
Okay. So these two are the measures. Okay, so two different measures of the bandwidth. One is measured in hertz and the other is measured in bits per second. So say for example, the bandwidth of a subscriber line is 4 kilohertz for voice or data. Like bandwidth of the line, so of this line for data transmission can be up to 56,000 bits per second. Okay, so using a modem. What is a modem? Modem is a way to convert your digital signal to analog and an analog signal to digital. The similar way, say for the same telephone company, which was earlier offering 4 kilohertz, now it is offering 8 kilohertz. It has improved the quality of the line, and the bandwidth is increased from 4 kilohertz to 8 kilohertz. Okay, so then how much you can send? You can send 1,12,000 bits per second. Okay, so this is regarding the bandwidth. So we are giving it in two measures. Okay, so the bandwidth we are giving in two measures. One measure is like we are saying it is 4 kilohertz. Okay, so other one we are saying that it is 56,000 bits per second. So any measure you can take. Okay, it can be like bandwidth in hertz or it can be bandwidth in bits per second. So let us take a look at what is meant by a throughput. Okay, so throughput is a measure of how fast we can actually send data through a network. So a link may have bandwidth of B bits per second, and we can send only T bits per second. Okay, so this is what is called as throughput, and T is the actual measure. Okay, how much you can send, and B is the potential measurement of the link. So let us take a look, like link with a bandwidth of 1 Mbps, okay, which is 1 meg, which is also called as 1 megabits per second, or we could also say it as 1 meg. Okay, can pass. Then we are saying this the link. Okay, so the link with a bandwidth of 1 meg, but the device can handle only 200 kbps. Okay, so this is the difference between what is bandwidth and what is throughput. Okay, so throughput is like how fast we can actually send the data. The capacity can be 1 megabits per second, but you can only send only 200 kbps. So what you are able to send, actual data that you can send, measure of the actual data that can be sent from the source to the destination is measured as T. But the capacity, entire capacity of the channel is given as B over here. So let us solve a problem here. So this is a problem. A network with bandwidth of 10 megabits per second can pass only an average of 12,000 frames per minute, with each frame carrying an average of 10,000 bits. Now what is the throughput of this network? Please calculate and tell me. Okay, so it can transmit 12,000 frames per minute, right? But each and every frame carries 10,000 bits. So first let us look into how many bits like it can carry. So for this we'll be doing 12,000 into 10,000, so which will give us in bits. Okay, now we need it in seconds. Okay, so but here it is like frames per minute. So to get it in seconds, we are dividing it with 60 over here. Okay, so when you do this, what will happen? How much you are getting? You will be getting. Okay, so this goes with 2, right? 1 0 goes off. So I'll be getting 2 and then 6 zeros. Okay, so this is what I'll be getting. Okay, so what is 10 power 6? 10 power 6 is mega, right? Okay, so 10 power 3 is kilo, right? 10 power 6 is mega, 10 power 9 is giga, 10 power 12 is tera, and 10 power 15 is peta and all that. So you know, okay, so you also have otta, which is 10 power 24. So like that. So 10 power 6 is mega. So you're saying you got it. Okay, so what is the transmission, which is 2 Mbps. So can you just compare the throughput with the bandwidth and tell me what is your understanding? What did you understand? So the bandwidth is 10 Mbps, but how much you are able to transmit? You are able to transmit only 2 Mbps, right? So did you understand the difference between throughput and bandwidth?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the total capacity of the line, but you are able to send only 2 Mbps. Okay, right. So let us move on to latency now. So what is latency? Latency is called as the delay, and this is the formula of latency. So latency defines how long it takes for an entire message to completely arrive at the destination from the time the first bit is sent out from the source. Okay, from the time the first bit is sent out from the source, how much time it is taking for the entire message to reach to the destination. Okay, entire message, not the first bit to the first bit. Okay, so from the time the first bit started was sent by the source, how much time it is taking for the entire message to reach to the destination. So that is what is called as latency. Latency is made up of 4 components. The first component is the propagation time. The second one is transmission time, and the third one is queuing time, and the fourth one is processing delay. So you will be measuring them in terms of this. Now, what is latency? So the latency is made up of all these components. So the sigma of all these, the addition of all this will give you the latency. So propagation time less the transmission time less the queuing time less the processing delay. So let us look into what is meant by propagation time. So if in case in your problems they ask you to calculate the latency, so you need to calculate the propagation time, transmission time, queuing time, and processing delay, and then sum it up, you'll be getting the latency. Right. So now let us see what is propagation time. So propagation time measures the time required for a bit to travel from the source to the destination. So it is the time taken by one bit to transmit, to get transmitted, to reach. Okay, so to start from the source and to reach to the destination. So the measure measures the time required for a bit to travel from the source to the destination. So there's a formula for propagation time. Okay, so the propagation time is calculated by dividing the distance by the propagation speed. So the distance by the propagation speed. So at which speed it is propagating. Say for example, the propagation speed of electromagnetic signals depends on the medium. Okay, what type of medium you are using, whether it is a twisted pair or it's coaxial, or what kind of medium, whether guided or unguided. So based on that, it depends. Okay, so the propagation speed depends on that, and also the frequency of the signal. Okay, so what is the frequency of the signal? And for example, let us take an example of light. Okay, so light travels fast in vacuum, okay, so than in air. So there is a difference between how light travels. So there is a speed for light, but how it travels in the vacuum and how it travels in the air and how it travels in the cable. So we are putting it in a cable. So there are different mediums through which the light is traveling. One, it is traveling in vacuum. Okay, so the other, it is traveling in air, and the third one is like it is traveling in the cable. So there is difference in how it travels. The speed will differ over here. So the propagation speed will differ over here. So we know that the speed of light is 3 into 10 power 8 m by s. Okay, but that rate will lower when it is traveling in air, and again it will be lowered when it is traveling in the cables. So based on the medium that you are using, you will be calculating the propagation time. What is transmission time? Okay, so the transmission time is equal to, so the message size by the bandwidth. So this is a formula for calculating the transmission time. So what is transmission time? Transmission time is given by a formula which is the message size by the
Standby.
bandwidth. Okay, right, good. And the next is the queuing time. So what is the queuing time? The time needed for each intermediate or end device. Okay, so the intermediate, because it may take several hops. Okay, so the intermediate devices can be a router, it can be a switch. Okay, so the intermediate devices will be there. Like straight away, like it will not come from the source to the destination to you. In the middle, there will be so many devices. I explained you when I was talking about the data link layer. I explained you like how it comes to a router, then encapsulation happens and the decapsulation happens, and then it travels through the satellite media and goes to the other network router and all that. So there will be some intermediate nodes other than the start node and the end device. So the time needed for each intermediate or the end device to hold the message before it can be processed. Okay, so the queuing time. So for example, you might have seen this in your data structures. Okay, CPU, say that CPU is one processing unit. So say that the processes are waiting for the CPU to process. So where do they wait? They wait in the queues, right? So this is what you will be seeing in CPU scheduling of operating systems. In CPU scheduling, there are various algorithms how the processes are processed. You will be knowing that. Anyway, you have operating systems in your semester wherein this will be discussed how the processes will be processed by the CPU, like the round robin technique or first come first serve or shortest job first, or based on that. So there will be a queue at each and every device wherein like if the CPU is busy processing something, the process that arrived will be waiting in the queue. So like that. Okay, so that is what is called as queuing time. So the time needed for each intermediate or end device to hold the message before it can be processed. Okay, so maybe it is processing some process like P1 and P2 arrived. So P2 arrived, so it enters into the queue. Next P3 arrives. Okay, but still CPU is busy with P1. So where they should be waiting? They should be waiting in the queue. Like this, like because you know like what is a queue? It is first first in and first out. So all the processes enters into a queue. Whichever is in the front of the queue will be processed first. That is first come first serve CPU algorithm. There are various other algorithms in which the CPU processes. So there will be a queue to wait. Okay, so this queuing time. Okay, so hold the message before it can be processed. That is what is called as queuing time. And and what is the fourth measure? What is the fourth measure of latency, which is processing delay? So the processing delay is, for example, the process is allocated to the device. Okay, so say this is a processing device, the process is allocated. Like for example, P2 got the chance of execution. But to execute P2, maybe many resources are needed. And if that resources are held by some other process or are held by some other processes, then what happens is there will be a delay in processing it. So that processing delay also you will consider. So summing up all these four things, you will be getting the latency. So what is latency? Latency is equal to propagation time plus transmission time plus queuing time plus processing delay. So the next kind of network measure is the bandwidth delay product. So let us look into what is meant by bandwidth delay product. Okay, so I have given a diagram over here for you to understand. So it's a product of bandwidth and the delay. Okay, right. So what is the definition of bandwidth delay product is that it defines the number of bits that can fill the link. So let me show you an example. So this is a sender and this is a receiver, and the sender is sending bits. Okay, so it is sending bits, and the bandwidth is, say for example, it is for initially you try to understand it that the number of bits are only 1. Okay, so say that it is processing only 1 bit per second. So let me draw that for you. Okay, so say for example, this is the sender and this is the receiver, and the source is sending what is the bandwidth? The bandwidth is 1 bps. 1 bps is a worst thing, but for us to understand, for the demonstration purpose, it will be easy for you to understand. That's why I'm taking 1 bps, bit per second, and this is the bandwidth. Okay, so 1 bps is the bandwidth. And what is the delay? So say for example, the delay is equal to 5 seconds. Okay, so the delay is 5 seconds, which is too much, but still for us to understand everything, I'm giving it in that manner. So now what happens? The source is sending a bit. Okay, so this is 1 bit. And then what happens? The source after 5 seconds, again it sends another bit. Okay, so this is the first bit and this is the second bit. And after some time, what it will do, it will send the third bit. Okay, so this is the second bit, and after 5 seconds it sends the third bit. Okay, so this is the first bit and this is the second bit and this is the third bit and this is the first bit and second bit. Okay, after some time, after 5 seconds delay, it has sent the fourth bit. So this is the first bit, this is the second bit. Okay, and this is the third bit and this is the fourth bit. Okay, now after 5 seconds, what it can do is it will be sending another bit. Okay, so this will be the first bit, the second bit, the third bit, and the fourth bit and fifth bit. Okay, so now what will be the bandwidth delay product, which will be bandwidth into the delay, so which is 1 into 5. So that is equal to, so 1 into 5, that is equal to 5 bits. Okay,
5.
so which is 5 bits. Now what is the bandwidth delay product? The bandwidth delay product is, it defines the number of bits that can fill the link. Okay, so between the source and the destination, the source, okay, so this is the source, right? The source cannot give the 6th bit into the line, because the first, it is the line is occupied with first, second, third and fourth and fifth bit. So it has to wait for the destination to process at least 1 bit to release the 6th bit. Did you understand? So this is what is called as the bandwidth delay product. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now this is another example wherein the bandwidth is 4 bps and the delay is 5 seconds. So now what happened? So how many bits it can send? It can send 5 into 4, right? Okay, so the bandwidth is 4 into 5, which is equal to 20 bits. So what is the filling? Okay, so it defines the number of bits that can fill the link. So how many bits can be filled between the source and the destination? Only 20 bits can be filled. Okay, after the destination processes some bits, then only the source can generate the next 5 bits. Okay, right. So this is what is called as the bandwidth delay product. Okay, so next let us look into the jitter. Okay, so what is jitter? Jitter is like, say for example, I am speaking here, right? So there is some voice and say there is some video data coming your way, right? And if there should be certain specific difference between the data that is arriving at you. So if, for example, the packets that are arriving at you, like this is the first voice packet and this is the second voice packet that is coming from my device to your device. So there should be specific permissible delay in between these packets. If the delay between these two packets become more, what happens is you will be encountering some breaking up of the voice and all that. So jitter is that. Okay, so it means that there is jitter in the voice, meaning that there is so much of delay between the voice packets that are delivered. So because of that, what happens is the quality of the audio comes down, and you people end up saying, right, sometimes you say like, ma'am, your voice is breaking. Why my voice is breaking is because of jitter in the network. Okay, so jitter is when there is a time delay in the sending of these data packets over the network. connection. This is often caused because of network congestion. Congestion is nothing but traffic. Okay, so if there are more packets to be transmitted in a particular route, what happens? Then the network traffic increases, and then there will be more delay. Okay, so and sometimes routes changes. Okay, so maybe there is a traffic in one route, and it got an information that a particular device got an information. You will understand this in the routing algorithms. It will get an information that there is congestion in that route. So what happens is the packet changes its route. So when it changes its route, again there will be a delay. So the longer data packets take to arrive, the more jitter can negatively impact the video and the audio sound. Okay, quality. So I hope you understood what is jitter. Is jitter clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's it, girls. So let us do one more problem. Okay, can you calculate what will be the propagation time when the distance between 2 points is 12,000 kilometers, assuming the propagation speed to be 2.4 into 10 power 8 meters per second. Okay, so tell me. So the distance is given. What is the distance? 12,000 kilometers. And what is the propagation speed? 2.4 into 10 power 8. So it is given. So just calculate and tell me. So propagation time is equal to 12,000.
200 milliseconds.
No. 12,000 by 2.4 into 10 power 8. What you need to do here? The distance is in kilometers. Okay, the propagation speed is in meters per second. So you need to convert it into meters. Okay, convert into that. What you need to do here? Into
10 cube.
10 cube.
10 cube. Very good. Now calculate. Okay, in tomorrow's class I'll start your second unit.